What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Tottenham have had their draw completed for the 22-23 Champions League season, and as our group stands, it is Eintracht Frankfurt, Sporting Lisbon and Marseille in Tottenham's group for the upcoming season of the Champions League. When it comes to group difficulty and in terms of who we could have faced, I mean, probably can't be happier with how the draw has gone from that aspect. If in terms of as well, we travelled to Germany, we travelled to Lisbon, Portugal and France, so some really good destinations to travel to as well if you're going out for these European ties. But talking about each club specifically, Eintracht Frankfurt, we'll start with them. They're obviously Europa League champions from last season, so clearly they beat the likes of Barcelona, they beat West Ham, and they obviously beat Rangers in the final on their way to lifting the trophies. They're clearly no mugs. However, they did lose Filip Kostic this summer. They did as well last season finish, I believe it was 9th in the Bundesliga table. So when you're looking at when in the pot one teams, Ajax, Porto, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Madrid, Man City, PSG, I mean, you've got to say we've got away with them withdrawing Frankfurt as well, the pot one team.
Yeah, I think so. I think they had a bit of a catch-22 last season because a couple of the players you just mentioned there were obviously their top players. And, you're trying to fight for a Champions League spot, which obviously they got through winning the Europa. But in that also aspect of winning it, you become a bit more in the shop window, as it were. And obviously those players have been snapped up. So now we're in a bit of a predicament, potentially, where they've managed to get themselves to the Champions League, but now have lost their key players, not really replaced them. I mean, there's an argument to say that they'll progress and get better as the season goes along, as they adapt. But yeah, I think it's probably a really good time for us to have this kind of team in our group moving forward.
And I mean, looking at how they've started this season's Bundesliga, they've played 3 games, drawn 2, lost 1, currently sitting 15th. So we might be catching Frankfurt a very good time. Obviously, winning Europa League, you got to say fair play to them, but ultimately they did finish mid-table in the Bundesliga, and they're currently struggling right now. So I mean, we've gotten very lucky with that pot one draw compared to a lot of the team. Not to say they don't have good players, and not to say that maybe they will by the time we play them have overcome a lot of their issues, but right now they are definitely the team to face when it comes to being in those pot one teams. When it comes to the second team, Sporting Lisbon, they finished runners-up last season in the Portuguese league. They got absolutely battered by Man City in the round of 16, 5-0. Showing maybe how they do stack up when they face Premier League teams. Let me see how they've started this season as well, because they have lost their main player, Martin Nunes, this season, which is probably a big blow for them. He's obviously left and gone to Wolves. They did sign Ruben Vinagre from Wolves as well. They've signed, remember Trincao, he was at Wolves last season. He was a tricky winger. But they've lost Matthias Nunes. They've also lost João Palhinha to Fulham. He was one of their main midfielders last season. And Nuno Mendes has gone to PSG as well, the left back. So they as well have going through a period of potentially of transition, and they haven't exactly. They also started the season with 3 games, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat. So a bit of an inconsistent start to the season. So again, when you're talking about difficult teams in pot 3, Sporting Lisbon probably got one of the easier ones, you have to say.
Yeah, again, like you say, similar to Frankfurt. I think there's a bit of a mixed bag of performances that they've had so far this season domestically, but I think, like, as well, the other factor of Champions League in any game of football, especially in Europe, is the factor of the fans, the stadium. Lisbon's not going to be an easy place for us to go to, and vice versa. They'll be up for coming to London and putting on a good show for their travelling fans. So this is the beauty of this kind of competition and what we're in, because it's not all about on paper, results. There's some other big fundamental factors that can put into play here. And Lisbon have been well known to be a tricky team. Yeah, of course, Man City smashed them. If
But
you
we're not
catch
Man
Man
City.
City on a good day, they will smash anyone. So you have to come with the right mentalities and the right preparation, which obviously they didn't do at that time. But that aside, like I said, I think Lisbon's a top team in Portugal. It always has been. And they've got maybe a couple of points to prove. But I do think you're right to say that they've lost a couple of those big players. And they're in a bit of a transition. So, yeah, it's a really interesting one for us because we've got two teams there that perhaps a bit unsure about where they are right now as a club and as a team.
There's a former Tottenham player who currently plays for Sporting Lisbon. If I also say there's currently an English winger who used to play for Tottenham who currently plays for Sporting Lisbon, would you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Marcus Edwards.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Marcus Edwards.
The future Messi.
Exactly. Maybe he's got a point to prove when he comes up against us because he's actually been playing quite well.
Yeah,
in the,
to be fair,
League.
jokes aside, he's been developing really well. Perhaps not just yet the levels that were maybe anticipated a few years ago, but he's making a mark out there. He's enjoying his football. That's the main thing for him. So obviously, good luck as an academy player. We always want them to do well wherever they go, unless it's coming back to play us. That's the thing.
Okay, and then the next team we have is Olympique Marseille, who finished runners-up last season in Liga to PSG, big-time runners-up as well because there was a big points gap. They actually got knocked out of their Europa League group last season and went to the Conference League and then lost in the semi-finals of the Conference League to Rangers, I believe, although Dimitri Payet scoring one of the goals of the tournament. I remember he's obviously always going to be a massive player for them. He's now, I think, 34 now, Dimitri Payet, obviously a massive threat. They have a few signings this summer. Alexis Sanchez on a free transfer. Nuno Tavares from Arsenal, the left-back. They've signed him on loan. They have signed Cengiz Under, from who was at Leicester last season, but he's actually from Roma. Jordan Vertu. They've made the signing of Matteo Guendouzi permanent as well this summer. Kevin Strootman. They've made. Not Kevin Strootman. He came back on loan, but they made as well quite a few signings this summer. Maybe in an attempt to try and push PSG, although that's unlikely. But runners-up in Liga, a team who failed to get out of their Europa League group last season, is that also a team where you're thinking nothing to be scared of in that sense?
I don't know. I think, like I said, they've got some really talented players in there, and I know that some of them are higher ages now. But that sometimes plays into teams' hands when you've got that kind of experience. And we know, like, Payet back in his West Ham days, like he's the type of player that would just do something out of nothing.
But he is 35 now.
Yeah, he is, but he still has 2 feet. And he still has the ability. It's all about that in the moment situation I always talk about. But I would say out of the 3 teams, that was probably our trickiest out of the batch. I'm still confident that we should be able to go and get results there. Maybe not so much away. I think there'll be a difficult, hostile atmosphere, like it always is in Marseille. But yeah, for sure at home, I'd expect us to be winning that. But yeah, you can't rest on laurels. You have to be prepared for these games and expect any kind of madness or any crazy thing. We know what we're like with random set pieces or like, not controlling the game in the right manner, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere something gets blasted. Payet's got a big foot of his, like
free kicks
can come from anywhere. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be on the ball from the first minute. It's all in our hands. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it is all in our hands. Like, we have to start these games well, both home and away, and we will get ourselves through it if we give them any opportunity. No matter what any of those teams are in our group, give them any opportunity, they'll take it. They'll be up for it.
When it comes to Antonio Conte, obviously we spoke during the draw about his record in the Champions League. Well, if he wanted a start to kind of start putting that right, he couldn't have asked for a better group, could he?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about then the momentum, isn't it? It's like the snowball effect. Like, if we can proceed with the wins here, it's going to build the confidence. We're going to take that to potentially the Premier League as well, tiredness aside. And we'll get into those hopeful last 16, etc. with a lot of confidence and wins behind us.
And our group,
that's the dream.
You'd think of our squad, and even if we have to rotate a bit, you'd have to think our squad should be strong enough to get out of this group.
I think the key is taking the games majorly seriously to a point where you may be able to rest players. What I don't want to see is like we've done in perhaps previous seasons where we're trying to do a balancing act because of the lack of depth or whatever it might be. I want us to go in there with the anticipation that we want to try and win this game immediately or as soon as possible, get those 3 points. And then if we're spare with points, yeah, fine, rest some players. Whatever you need to do, give some academy run-outs, which would be absolutely brilliant experience for them. We must understand that as well. But yeah, I think it's about then momentum, taking that on to the last 16. But it's going to be tricky because those other groups have some extremely amazingly big teams in there, as they always do, of course. But yeah, we can't look that far ahead. We have to get ourselves through this batch first, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be very interesting to see when the Champions League starts. I, for one, cannot wait. Actually, by my reckoning, we haven't played any of those teams before, have we? In Champions League or European football?
I can't remember any for sure.
Frank, definitely not in Champions League. We haven't played any of those teams.
No, I can't
remember. I can't for the life of me remember playing any of these teams in the UEFA Cup in the recent history since Martin Yole days or anything like that. I don't think we've played any of these teams before, so that's quite an exciting thing to look forward to. Seeing going to these different stadiums and seeing what we can do there. And I'm very, very excited. I mean, as Champions League, look, let's be honest. If I gave you that group in the Europa League, you wouldn't have thought twice about it.
No,
that's the truth.
Right.
So you've got to say, as much as it's going to be difficult still, you couldn't have asked for a better group. We've definitely been dealt a good hand. So let's see how it all plays out then. It's going to be very exciting. The Champions League dates, I'll get the dates up for you guys. So match day 1 is on the 6th of September. Then a week later will be match day 2. 2 weeks later is match day. A week later is match day 2. Then you got 2 weeks until match day 3. Then on 4th of October. Then 11th of October is match day 4. 25th of October is match day 5, and match day 6 of the 1st of November. So the whole group stage, remember last season, group stage is going to December. Yeah. The whole group stage is going to be over by the 2nd of November.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
So it's over very quickly. Obviously, with the World Cup coming mid-November. It's all going to be squeezed in.
I think it puts a lot more intensity into it. I like this compactness to it, and then you know where you stand as well when we come back from World Cup as a club. What we need to work on as the players do come back from international duty to get them prepared for an extremely big second half of next year in the season. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I don't know when we get information about home and away. Not that plays a massive factor.
We have. Well, someone sent me a message claiming he knows when we play who, but I'm not sure if he claims that we play on week. He says game week 1 we play the team in pot 3 away first. That's what he claims. Who is that would be Lisbon away first. Yep. Then we play Marseille at home week 2. Then we play. Frankfurt away week 3, then Frankfurt at home week 4, then Marseille away week 5, game week 5, and game week 6 we end it with Lisbon at home. That's what he claims. I don't know how accurate it is though.
We'll have to see. Match day 4 is my concern. I mean, I beat for my birthday.
Oh dearie me!
I was hoping it'd be an away game, but we'll have to see. Might be a ticket up for grabs.
In terms of looking at that group, Si, obviously it's very early. If we're going to make a prediction, how many points do you reckon Spurs are getting out of that group?
6.
6.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Five wins.
Yeah.
5 wins out of 6 games and 1 defeat. We have a loss in there.
Yeah, I think there's a defeat in there, but then I don't know. I might go actually 17.
17?
Yeah.
Can you even get 17 points?
I don't know. I probably added that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
3
of the maths
teams,
there.
9 times 2, 18. Minus
no, you can't. No, you
point.
you can only get 16 points. You can't get 17. How would you get 17 points?
Right.
No, it wouldn't work. Because if you win every game, you get 18 points, right? right?
Yes.
But if you draw one of those games and
Oh,
win
of
the
course,
rest,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
16.
Yeah.
So you
I'll go
can't
with my
get
normal
17.
number then.
So 16 points or 15? Unbeaten. We're
One
going
of
for
them.
unbeaten.
One of them.
I'm going with.
I'm too tired.
You're too tired. You done for the day, so he's clocked off.
The balls took too long to come out.
I'm going with 14 points. I'm going with 4 wins and 2 draws.
I feel
14
strong about
points.
it. Like I always have a calm head about it in the sense that these always going to be tricky games, but I'm anticipating with where we are as a team, with Conte there, with our home support and the away support, I feel like we could get some really high structured points on there.
All right. Well, that is our instant reaction to the Champions League draw.